Well, hello, and welcome to this week's special BYG edition. Yes, the Birthing Your Greatness edition of the Collaborative UTV. And guys, I have a special treat. I have a Houston restaurateur, and in talking with him, realized that there was so much more that I did not know, and some things that we cannot say. But I just want to introduce you guys to our special guest, Michael Moore. What's up, Michael? How you
Well,
doing?
I'm good about yourself.
I am great. I am great. Welcome to the Collaborative UTV. Welcome as a special guest on the Birthing Your Greatness. We're in the middle of a summit with the university, and our goal is to empower, educate, and inspire those who have that entrepreneurial spirit. And you know what? A lot of people are in the food industry. A lot of people are in the product brand industry. And I figured, I see you all the time. I see you in your grind. I see you with your unique ability to say what you want to say. And I was like, let me bring him on and get a different viewpoint and a different flavor. Cause sometimes we just need to loosen up. And so welcome to the show. Tell people a little bit about yourself, because I know you could do it far greater than I could. Tell them a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Michael Moore, and I'm a native Houstonian from Third Ward sector of Houston, Texas. Graduate of Westbury High School, went to college on a football scholarship to North Iowa, and then ended up transferring to Prairie View, where I got my greatness from. And I am the owner of the Stuffed Baked Potato Factory restaurant franchise, Moes Magic
Okay.
Dust, and Bellway Records.
Okay. And you also have a product brand, right?
Yes, it's called Moes Magic Dust. So I have seasons that are in grocery stores and sauces and so forth.
Awesome, awesome. And I was kind of doing a little research when you sent me your bio, and I was looking at your story, and you kind of fell into this. I mean, I know you said you've been in the restaurant industry since you were about 16, but I mean, I read about you kind of falling into this Moe's Magic Dust, doing some kind of crawfish boil or something. Tell us how you actually transitioned it from just something you were doing, and you knew it was going to be your life's work.
So what I was in the music business first, and I wanted out the music business for several reasons. And so I decided that I was going to go to a crawfish boil contest. One day, friend told me, hey, come to crawfish boil, enter. So I did. But my second self kept telling me, my first self telling me, don't go. And my second self said, go, is something out there for you. So I kept hearing that over and over in my head, go, is something out there for you. And I was reading the book, The Power by Rhonda Byrne. The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. So it taught me to listen to your second self, because that's usually where the moments that things happen. So I went to the crawfish boil by myself, and I ended up winning. And as I'm driving back to Houston, I hear the voice say, hey, that's what you went there for. And it was the season. So I went home, perfected the seasoning, sent it off to a co-pack company. They sent it back. That was it. And that's when the magic started happening.
Wow. Okay, so I like that. I like that part of the story, because you said that there were two voices talking to you. One was that voice, that voice of doubt, maybe it's not it. And then you had that other voice that was telling you, hey, you need to go to this. And you said that second voice, which is usually your inner self, the self that knows things that you don't know,
Right.
you followed that voice, right? I
That's
think a
correct.
lot of people kind of ignore that voice. What's your thought on that?
No, you're right. At the end of the day, if I wouldn't have done that, then the magic dust wouldn't have took over to the restaurants. So I'd have found myself in a period of lost, or going back to the same thing I knew. And what I knew then, I wasn't graduating. So yeah, the second voice is really what it is. Every time I followed that second voice, I've always won.
Every time you followed it, you've always won.
Won always.
Wow. And so with that being said, you started off with the Moe's Magic Dust, and you gave us kind of an overview of what you did, but what took it from, what made you think bigger than just the next crawfish boil or throwing up a little crawfish shack? What made you think bigger than that and look at the product and say this product is something I need to focus on? Was it simply the voice?
No, in this case, once I got the season done, sometimes our messages come through other folks. And there was a friend of mine, this young lady I dated in Iowa. Her mom seen it, and she said she said the season is going to take you to something bigger. And so those are messages also I listen to. So I'm like, okay, well, what is she talking about, right? And of course, when it happens, I would start doing research. I went to open up a barbecue place. And so I started doing research and found out the baked potato was the number one seller in the barbecue place. So I went back, redid my plan or whatever the case is, and launched that through, catering, having friends taste tests and all that kind of stuff. So the seasoning took it to the next level. So I have this theory I call the 4 boiling pots. So you have 4 pots on the stove, you turn them all on high. One of them's gonna start boiling. And what you do is you pay attention to that boiling pot. And eventually what happens is that pot will spew over into other pots. And before you know it, you have 4 different things that you have created with only one pot.
Huh. Let's go back. So let's deal with that theory, because I really like that. So 4 boiling pots,
Mm-hmm.
they all have the same thing in them?
No, it's just water. Just turn them up high.
They all have water.
Mm-hmm.
The
So
one that boils first,
mm-hmm.
that's what you're saying. The one that comes to a boil first, that's the one you pay attention to first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, but what's the significance of having 4? Can you tell me?
A lot of times, a lot of entrepreneurs have all these ideas and don't know how to corral them, right? So what you do is you take one idea, put it in that pot, one idea, put it in that pot, one idea in that pot, one idea in that pot, and you start working it, right? The other ideas you have, put them up under the oven, put them up under the burner, right? And when those things start boiling, then guess what? Take them out stove, then add your next pots. So that's the thing. It's just people have too many ideas. I mean, that's most entrepreneurs I know have tons and tons of ideas. Don't know what to do with them. So put them in the pots.
I like that. Now you helped me with that one. Thank you so much. Because you're absolutely right. When everybody isn't an idea person, everybody doesn't have that same concept. But when you have an entrepreneur spirit, you're absolutely right. That unleashes in so many different ways. And part of the problem that a lot of entrepreneurs have is navigating what idea to go with first. So I totally get that. Now, when you say put it on the stove to boil, let's talk about how that translates into real life. What does boiling look like in real life? I know what it looks like on a stove, but what does it look like when you're putting those 4 ideas out there to see which one boils?
Okay, so for instance, I have the baked potatoes, I have the seasoning, I have the books, and I have the music business, right? Those are my 4 things. So when I turned the stove on, the seasoning took off, right? And when the seasoning took off, we're like, okay, that's the one I need to pay attention to, because that's the one that's actually making the money now, right? So once it started making the money, then you start getting more creative, and your creativity, then that's what happens to the other thing. Okay, now I can put this stuff baked potato factory in place, because the seasoning is what's going to season the food, right? And then that's just how it works. So it's just a situational train effect, if you will. Everything starts moving. Remember, all ideas that you come up with are not always dead. It just needs, sometimes, in most cases, I know for myself, if I come up with some idea, it may be 10 years ahead of its time. And that doesn't mean that it's dead. It doesn't work. It's just too far ahead of its time. Put that to the side, work on it periodically, or whatever the case is, and then it's going to become a moment in life where you're like, you know what? It's time for this one. And then you go ahead and you insert and you go.
Oh, I like that. Wow. So when the Moes Magic Dust took off, right? And someone gave you, they gave you the feedback, which I absolutely love, because we should listen to the people that are around us. Not all of the people that are around us, okay, but those who see in the way that you're seeing, because if they're not giving you the same trajectory that you want to have, then no, those people are the wrong voices. I just want to throw that out there. But once you got that secondary, okay, this is something good. What made you think manufacturing? Like, what made you think that?
Well, coming from the music business, I've always dealt with manufacturing, on the city level. So pretty much everything translates to the next thing. If they manufacturing CDs, they got to be manufacturing seasoning. But again, this is why I say this is definitely what's meant for me, because I went to a cook-off meeting for the rodeo, and they brought in some seasonings, right? Mind you, I had bought some cans of seasoning, some bottles of seasoning for no reason, just bought them, put them in my garage. Don't know why I bought them, right? Well, I go to the cook-off meeting, and they gave me a case of seasoning. Someone donated. Hey, they want you to use the seasoning. I'm like, well, we can't use the seasoning. He's like, why not? I said, because if it's good, we can't take credit for it. If it's bad, we got to take credit for it, right? So, but my second self said, take that seasoning home with you, right? So I said, you know what? Give it to me. Took it home. I literally put it behind the door of my house. Walked in the house, sat on the floor there, and left it there, right? Went and started trying to figure out who's going to co-pack the seasoning. And then the voice came along and said, go look at those bottles you brought in. And I looked, there was the name and information for the co-packing company. I called them, and guess what? They did it. So it was all meant for me. So those things that, I don't know how everybody else get through it, but it's like God and the universe just set things up for me to where it's like, hey, if you listen, you'll get it. And that's what I've been doing.
And the truth of the matter is, I mean, you let me tell you something. You unpacking some good stuff today, because you said the first thing you said was that your music business experience and knowing that they manufacture CDs translated to you. So a lot of times we like to throw away our past experiences and our past jobs, but a lot of those things really translate. It's just building blocks, right? It's just building blocks. So for instance, I mentioned to you that the CollabotativeU is an online university. Well, I worked for one of the first online universities, University of Phoenix, back in the day. Back then, I was so disgusted with how they was doing things, what they was doing and all of that. But what I did not understand is that this day would come,
right,
and I would need to fall on the information that I got from that experience. So kudos to that. That was number one. Number two, I like what you said. You heard that voice that told you, take those seasonings home. And sometimes just little instructions, little bitty instructions that we don't even see the reasoning for lead to, now you got a whole manufacturer. You didn't even have to do all the research, find this, find that. Isn't that amazing? Like, and how many of us don't allow that inner guide to guide us? I mean, this is fabulous. This interview is more than what I thought it was going to be, because you're taking me down the path that I'm currently walking on. A lot of us, we tap into religion, right? But we don't even really know how it really translates into our everyday lives. And what you're describing is really the relationship between you and the higher self, and how he says that I'll make your crooked path straight. He gave you a straight shot to everything you wanted.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I just when I first got the restaurant, the one on MLK and 610, of course, I got background issues at the time. I had credit issues at the time, and I was like, man, there's no way that they're gonna give me this building. And I heard the voice say, that you don't go the regular way. You just sit back. I got you. And I left it alone, and it works just like that. There's an incident just happened recently where I got a deal where most people had to fill out tons of paperwork and everything. And I get a phone call say, hey, we want the product, bring it on in. And I mean, it just, it works the way. And I think a lot of times, well, for myself, whatever the case is, it's really just doing the right thing. And when you do the right thing, right things happen, because God and the universe know that you're going to make things better for other folks as well. So if we start doing a little bit more thinking of others versus ourselves, I think that's what makes things happen a little bit better for yourself.
Wow. Now that's a really good segue, because that's kind of how I started noticing you through Facebook, through your Facebook post. I started really kind of noticing how, although you have a funny way of doing it, you put out if a person is not, you know, if you're not paying attention, they won't catch what you're doing. But you know, I pride myself. I can't even say I pride myself, but I have this intuitive thing that when people say stuff, sometimes I can see past what they're saying to the heart of the matter. And I notice that you truly do have a heart for your community. Where did that come from?
Well, growing up, and I grew up very poor, you know, so I understand the struggles of seeing people, a parent, you know, single mom walking down the street with her kids. I understand that. That was us. We didn't have a car. I understood seeing people get, you know, evicted every 30 days, whatever the case is. That was us, you know, going to a church, you know, getting clothes because you don't have any clothes to go back to school with, you know, going to food pantry. You know, that was me. So those things, even though you find yourself in a different light now, but you never forget about those things, you know. You never forget about those people because at a drop of a dime, you could be right back there. You know, there's nothing that's, you know, safe, anything. So my thing is that I never forget that because it's embedded in me. You know, it's not on me, it's in me, as they say.
Mm. So if you, we have people who are on that um, are, they have products. Some of them want their own restaurants. I have a friend in particular, shout out Cindy, who is an amazing, you know, sweets girl. And her frustration is that, you know, she wants a building, she wants a place, but she can't really see it because this is not right and that's not right. But you just said something. You said you didn't have all of those things in line. What would be your advice to people like that?
Well, my word is do what you can with what you got, and what you need will find you. I'll repeat it. Do what you can with what you got, and what you need will find you. So yeah, when you try and look for a restaurant and you get frustrated because you can't, your finances may not line up, whatever the case is, what the universe is really telling you is that you're not ready. I mean, it's not for you, it's that you're not ready. So every time you get a no, you need to go back home and tighten up your plan. The next no, tighten up your plan. Next no, tighten up your plan. And eventually, you tighten up all those plans, and then eventually something gonna come along when it's time for you to go. And when you get that call, you'll be ready to go. You know, so it's not that you're not doing the right things. It's that the universe is like a loan officer. It's gonna give it to you, but you have to make sure everything is tightened up because remember, the universe don't want to fail. You have to be the example for the universe if you do it right. To when you talk about these things, as what some people call success stories, you can be able to tell that success story for the simple fact that you did it right. You got whooped with, you know, trying to get there. You got beat down trying to get to your yes. You know, so don't get frustrated. It just means that you need to tighten up your plan. And as you continue to tighten it up, eventually the doors open up.
Okay, those are great points. And I hope she's listening because that right there was some, I mean, that was some great advice. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So let's get to some. I know you got
From
some
what?
insider trade secrets, but I know you have some how to. So if you could give a person who has an idea, right? Let's say, let's just go back to the cake and the sweets business. If you could give them some a 1, 2, 3, you know, a 1, 2, 3 on what they could do to really get it popping in a way, what would you tell them in their start?
Brand, brand your product, brand your product, and brand your product. Because what happens is you have to have an image that people want to. You want to identify your product with your image, your brand. So once you do that, then it becomes more of a situation to where um, people believe in a product because of the branding power of it. You know. So the thing is, if you're going to start something, then go ahead and start branding right away. You know. And I mean, that's just pretty much it. I mean, I was walking around with a Moe's Magic Dust. I mean, I'm sorry, the Moe's Famous Smoked Ribs and Magic Dust, whatever the case is. And some of these things weren't even in full fruition. You know, I was just doing something because I want to attract and understand the law of attraction. That's the other thing too, is that go ahead and start doing things ahead of time. When I was catering food, people thought I had a restaurant based on how I made it look how I label the product. And when you do those kind of things, whatever case, people start asking, "Where's your restaurant? Where's your restaurant?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just a catering company right now. I do it out of a private kitchen." Whole time I was doing it at home, you know. But again, you have to make sure that you have your product label. You have to look the part. Once you look the part, then you'll start attracting things that you want to attract to make your situation better and bigger.
Oh, wow. I hope she's listening. If not, I'm gonna tag her after this video because you you really touched on some things. Number one, a lot of people they tell their story a little too much. You know, if you're your product brand, be your product brand, just like you said. You don't have to tell people you're cooking at your kitchen at home, because the truth of the matter is almost all major businesses start in places you wouldn't even believe. I mean, garages, backyards, things like that. And you don't know that. You don't know it until they tell the story later. But while they're putting it in front of people, they're putting it in as the end. And, you know, that's something that, as I'm doing my studying on, you know, on the universe and how he sees things at the end, at the beginning. So you have to start being that creative person yourself, like you said, and see yourself as Moes, Magic Does Moes, famous ribs, and you haven't even cooked the rib yet, but you know that's the vision. And so that vision, as you do it, things will start lining up to give you the provision. Okay, so got it. No, I'm following you along this path. Now I want to know, once you, because some people get complacent, right? So you've gotten your Moes Magic Dust is out there, you pop locking, then you birth the baked potato factory. But what keeps you moving to the next? That's what I'd like to know.
Before I answer that, there's a reason why I'm sitting in the garage, because that's what most great business started, in the garage. So that's why I choose to sit in the garage today for this interview. No, I mean, it's like I would call myself a serial entrepreneur. I'm like never satisfied. It's like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's bigger? What's bigger? And a lot of things that I come up with, it's pretty much already on paper. I've done probably 8 years ago. So I'm just birthing what I've already created. So it's just like, what's next? What's next? So I mean, it's just, I mean, it's something that I love doing. I love creating new things, you know. And again, a lot of stuff that I create, eventually I'm going to sell it. You know, that's my whole purpose for creating it. Start Baked Potato Factory. Once I get so many franchise, I'm going to just, you know, sell it off. You know, next situation, sell it off. Not the most Magic does. But, you know, for the most part, that's what it's built for me to sell it. So, yeah, I'm just a serial entrepreneur. I like just building things.
Well, and you've just stepped into, I think, an area that many of us, or many of those who don't understand the power of being a brilliant mind, a mind that constantly thinks bigger, better, bigger, better. We try to hold on to stuff which doesn't let us expand to the way that we need to expand. So there are people that are arguing over Granny's barbecue recipe,
Yeah.
barbecue sauce, you know, or the tea cakes. When if the family want to be in on the tea cakes, let them, because if you're the brilliant mind behind it, you'll get another idea. You'll get another, you know, you'll continue to manifest those things you as that person that you really are. It's when you don't have that mindset that you then become, you know, a one trick pony, you know, the Milli Vanilli of your industry. I mean, that's just my thought. What do you think about that?
No, you're absolutely true. A lot of people that have one baby, I call them babies. So each project is a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they don't have that creative side to them, they birth this one baby. They want to hold on to that baby forever, right? Me, I know how to birth them. So you can birth them, you can have them. Birth them, you can have them. You know. So that's what it is. I mean, a lot of people just all their life they're trying to find that one situation. They got it, and guess what? They'll not let go of it. You know, because that's all they thought about. It's like the lottery ticket winner. You know, they thought about to win this lottery, win the lottery, and guess what? Don't know what to do with the money besides blow it. You know, same.
Yep.
So you end up holding on to something that you should have sold, make more money off the selling power of it, and then go into your next situation, because again, there's always something bigger to do.
And the truth of the matter is that everybody has this same power. Everybody has the same power to create and recreate and recreate and expand and expand. Everybody has that power, but you just have to be open to it. I mean, don't you believe everybody has this power? It's not something just for me and for you.
Right. No, I agree. But there's a lot of people that what the world has beat them down, and fear. The whole fear factor thing is really what holds most of us back. They figure I don't have the money to do that. Well, I didn't have the money to do it. But again, I kept on doing what I need to do, and eventually it'll attract somebody with enough money to make it happen. But you have to put in the effort in order to make those things happen. You have to be able to think. But a lot of times too, there's a lot of us that are going to work every day, stressing about the job you don't want to be at, and when you come home, you go straight to bed or straight to drinking or straight to eating, and you don't have time to create. So I would tell anybody that wants to be creative, that wants to own their own thing, carve out at least an hour, 30 minutes of the day, just so you can play with your concept, your idea. And eventually you're gonna get so involved in it that it's gonna be 2 hours now. Next thing you know, you find yourself doing 3 hours of it. I tell people all the time they want to write books. Go write a page a day, write 100 words a day. Eventually, before you know it, your book is done, but you got to start somewhere.
And I love what you just said about because it's the creative mind and allowing your imagination to see that end and to see what it looks like and to play with it until you build up enough momentum in yourself that you begin to attract those things that you've already created. There's a Bible verse that says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's what it is. Faith is your imagination, your ability to believe that you can have this thing, that you can do this thing. And if you play with it enough, if you mull over it, if you meditate on it, oh man, wow. And it's so crazy because I was just talking to Nakia Cooper, who sent a shout out. She's listening. I think you might know her too. But I did a word yesterday. I just kind of I jumped on and talked about the Great Awakening. And I believe that there are a lot of people who were asleep until 2020 hit. And I believe that this slowdown of everything and bringing you to this place is actually, and not just the slowdown, but the unrest and everything else that's happening is kind of waking us up to who we really are. What do you say about that? Because I noticed you all own it on Facebook.
Yeah,
You trying to be real modest today. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was I made a post about this I think last week. That COVID has done just that. A lot of people looking at it as a bad situation. I think it's actually a great situation. Besides the people that passed away from it, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But you sit at home now. You're not working or whatever the case is. Remember, I just talked about time. You got time now, right? So all those creative pieces you got, go make T-shirts. Go make your favorite lemon. Go make your favorite French fries, whatever the case may be, right? Because you don't have anything else to do but that. You're not being beat down by work. You're not being stressed out with it. And that's what's happening. COVID has really opened up our eyes. 2020 vision, I mean, it's there. There's so many opportunities that I've come across because when downtime, that's what it is. How I became so creative is I took 3 years out of the music and just sat at home and did nothing. I thank God I had that luxury to do that. But I would use my imagination, and my imagination is free. I mean, I used to go and take pictures of buildings and then have my graphics guy, hey, put my name on that building. Moes famous stuff, baby, say Moes famous reels, whatever the case is, right? And I would stare at that thing all the time and often, and eventually, boom, it happens, So yeah, this is a great time. Sure, things gonna happen for certain people that's not good. I get that, but that's life, and that's where us that are awakening and that's are being created, that's where we come in to help others as well. So yeah, great. 2020 is it. I mean, it's a good year.
Yes, it is. We call it a plandemic. We don't even cut the rest of that. It's a plandemic. It's time for you to awaken to your purpose and your perfect plan, the perfect plan for you. Oh my gosh, our 30-minute show is I can't believe it. But you know what?
Mhm.
We talked about some things before, so I am pretty sure that this will not be the last time we talk and we strategize on this platform, because you have the same heart that we have, and our heart is to see those who are out here to birth their greatness. You know, to move from where you are to where you're supposed to be. To tune into that. So, did you have any closing remarks before we close out?
No, I mean, just, thank you for having me, and thank the listening audience. Just like my thing is, do what you can with what you got, and what you need will find you. That's just it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, restaurateur and Houston businessman, Michael Moore. Thank you so much for joining us on the Collaborative UTV, where we educate, empower, and inspire you to be your very best. I'm Thea, your correspondent. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. It's going to be another amazing show. And thank you guys in the Birthing Your Greatness Summit. This was a special report. We won't have anyone at 12. This is it for you. I think it really gave you a different view and a different perspective, teaching in a different way. So I thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you the rest of this week. Peace, and we out.